We haven't seen Cari in days. Just text messages.
A Lifetime original movie, ripped from the headlines.
We've never gone this long without talking.
You haven't heard from her at all?
She's never done anything like this.
Based on a true story.
She's been harassing me and this other woman that I'm dating.
Why is she so fixated on you? Why is she so fixated on me?
From executive producers Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos.
There hasn't been a single sighting of Cari since she disappeared. If she's alive, then the question is, where is she? And if she's dead, that means someone else is sending the texts and emails.
Alicia Witt.
I spy with my little eye. Cari, she's watching us.
Zach Gilford. Leah Thompson.
I am telling you, something has happened.
Is this some kind of sick joke?
The Disappearance of Cari Farver. Premieres Saturday, October 8th at 8. Only on Lifetime.
Welcome, everyone. Our first panel today is with star Alicia Witt and executive producer Linda Burnham from The Disappearance of Cari Farver. Welcome. Our first question is from So Unique magazine. Please unmute to ask your question.
Hi, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Hope you guys are doing well. So my question is for, it could be for Zach or Alicia. With the disappearance of Cari Farver, it's becoming clearer that social media can be used as a weapon when most think of it as a way to connect with others. Were you guys surprised that Liz was able to get so far with her horrendous murder plot?
Well, Zach isn't here, so we'll let Alicia answer that.
Okay.
You know, it's so in the book, A Tangled Web, on which the script is based, and the book is, of course, based on the true story. The book is about the true story. It is said a number of times throughout the book that in retrospect, when you see all of it and all the facts laid out and all of the events laid out, it's easy enough to say in retrospect, how did she get away with it? How did no one figure it out right off the bat? But in the real story, the detectives did question her in the very beginning. And she was so, her brain had already worked out that they would. She had, if anything, almost set it up that they would. And she had perfectly orchestrated it so that she had answers for them that convinced them she had nothing to do with it. So she was actually questioned early on. And yes, in retrospect, it's hard to believe it went on as long as it did. But when you look at all the facts of it and how complex it was, I think at the time it didn't seem as obvious to anyone. It's a fascinating and really disturbing story.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Our next question is from Mike Hughes.
Yeah, back to Alicia here. This is a real acting role. I mean, lots of times actors get told to tone it down, modify it, something like that. You get to go through all the emotions and some really strong ones near the end there. So just tell me, when you first picked up the script, did you realize how much this would be and how much of an adventure was for you to do a role like this?
I was completely surprised as I was reading the script by how it turned out, because I was unfamiliar with the case. So that was thrill number one for me, to be offered it and then to read it and find it was not only a really engaging page turner, but then to discover that the character I'd been offered had so much to do and was so different from what she appeared in the beginning. I was just kind of bouncing off my seat by the time I got to the end of it. And that only amplified as I dug into the real story and the real character, and found ways to represent our version of her appearance, as well as her physicality, as well as her voice. And And then we only have audio and video footage of some of those scenes towards the end. So that was a gift to be able to use that as inspiration to see how the real version of the character said this, and how she sat while she said it, her stillness, it's really, to me as an actor, that's what gets me the most excited. I also had a great time figuring out who she might have been in all of the other scenes, the vast majority of them in this movie that are fictionalized. So yeah, it was one of the most exciting challenges to me as an actor that I've had in the last couple of years. And yeah, it was great for me. Thank you. Thank you for saying that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. Our next question is from Mental Intimacy Magazine.
Hi, are we supposed to turn on our camera as well, or just
Just audio?
Just audio, okay. Hi, I am April Banks, and my magazine is dealing with mental health. And so I noticed we're in the month of October, and with this month is Depression and Mental Health Awareness Month. And anxiety and bipolar, from what I was seeing in this movie, is very heightened. Can you tell us what resources did you use from past trauma, or what resources you use to allow you to get in such a character and do it so well?
Well, the character that I portrayed was not diagnosed as being bipolar. That was Cari Farver. And it was, if anything, because partly the fact that she had been diagnosed as bipolar in the past had sadly a little something to do with the skepticism that some of the detectives in Iowa felt when they first heard that she'd gone missing. And that's a stigma that I think comes along with that diagnosis. That's important to remember. Of course, in fact, her bipolar diagnosis had nothing to do with the tragedy that happened in the story, but it's so many people have experiences with trauma and mental illnesses, and it's the more that we talk about it and the more we normalize talking about it, the less of a secret it needs to be for anybody. There's absolutely nothing to be embarrassed about with those things, and I think that is an important issue that's brought up in this movie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. It was a great movie. You did an excellent job. I'm waiting to watch it again this Saturday.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Alicia. Our next question is from Starry Constellation Magazine.
Alicia, this is, as he mentioned, it's such a tough character for you. Very intense, and I'm sure you had long days on set. How did you slip into this role, and then what did you do to shake off a long day of shooting?
That's a great question, and this is something I've learned how to do over the years, because as a younger actor, I did not know how to do it. And it's so very crucial for your own mental health to not take these characters home with you, especially the darker ones. But really any character, even the lightest character that I've played, usually has something that has happened to her that comes up in the telling. And it's just so important to keep up those boundaries in your own life. And even in between takes, I don't take it as seriously anymore. I had an experience with Al Pacino. I don't mean to name drop, but it's one of the best stories I've lived through. Is just, I was doing this scene with him in a movie we worked on years ago, and I was so intense in between takes. I was like all amped up and keeping my head down and shaking and crying. And at one point, Al just said, you don't have to get this worked up for a scene. It's an action movie. They're going to cut it up into all these little pieces. And it transformed the way I think about that sort of thing. So even for something where you do need to go really deep, and I felt 100% like I was not myself during those scenes, but in between those scenes, I was 100% myself. And it actually helps me to be more spontaneous and more truthful to the version of the character I'm trying to portray. At this point, I don't really think about how it is I do that. I'd have to think longer about that, but I am able to. Thank you for asking.
Thank you so much. Our next question is from JB Ruby from Sci-Fi Magazine. Jamie?
Hi, thanks for talking to us. So now, since you're playing something that's based on a real character, or not a real character, a real person, sorry, and you have the video footage and all that, how do you kind of balance what you take from that versus what of your own creative input that you put in?
That is instinctive in some ways, and in other ways, for example, if I was doing a scene that we didn't have audio or video of, I would often listen to it or watch it on my phone before we did that, if I felt like maybe I was slipping out of her just a little bit, because she had a specific way of speaking as well. She had a kind of inflection that I was hoping to bring to it. And at the same time, our movie is based on real facts. There's lots that is a little bit different in the telling of it, just simply because it's a 2-hour-long movie. And so it was fun to just kind of, another great thing is that we filmed those last 2 scenes, the big interrogation scenes. That was on the very first day, which, Linda, was such a gift, because it let me discover the real meat of her, the part we did have video of. And then I kind of used that as a touchstone for all the rest of it, which in our movie comes before. But at that point, I already had that benchmark to rely on.
I'll add too that Alicia did so much research on the character and read the book and watched all the videos that we ended up changing some of the lines based on what she had seen in the videos to make it more authentic to the real person. And it really helped. And especially, as you said, with the inflection that the real character had, the real person had, you brought that all to life. Like, it's so much, it's creepy how much if somebody goes online and looks it up, it's very, very close to the real Liz.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much. We have time for one more question. Krista with TV Meg site.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
My question is, what was the most challenging part of doing this role, and what was your most favorite moment of doing the role?
For me, the challenges were also my most favorite. And I think the two challenges I enjoyed the most were the scenes that were directly inspired by scenes that we have video of, because knowing that you can watch them side by side, and this is sort of the real test. How much could I emulate this real person in those particular scenes? So that was fun. And then also digging into the kind of the first thing I wanted to dig into once I had read the book and understood just how twisted the whole story was why would someone be compelled to be this obsessed? What must have happened to her? What pain must she be in to act in this way? And so that's where my playlist came in handy, and really, hopefully, showing that she was a person in pain who really was craving love and connection, and I had no idea how to go about that in a healthy way. So that was a challenge that I really enjoyed as well.
Well, thank you for taking the time to speak with us today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And as you'll see in the chat, if we didn't get your question, please feel free to email us. We have the email in there and we'll answer any questions that we may have missed. Thank you so much to Alicia Witt and Linda Burnham for being here. Please tune in to The Disappearance of Cari Farver this Saturday, October 8th at 8/7 Central on Lifetime.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stay tuned for our Let's Get Physical panel.